Hey, what's going on everybody? Welcome back to another video. Today, I'm going to be talking about Evil Bong 8. So the first thing I'm going to get into is a little plot summary. I'm getting into spoilers, just a heads up. So, the basic plot is you're following this main character, Rabbit. He's been in all the other movies. So, Rabbit, he's trying to be a legitimate businessman. So, he opens up a restaurant. He's having some problems with the food. They infuse it with weed. You have a lot of returning characters come in from the other movies. Evie the Evil Bong is there. She's in the kitchen. And by the end, everyone gets sucked into the Bong world, which happens at some point in all these movies. So, this movie is supposed to be the last movie in the franchise. And honestly, I think it was a decent finale because you had some surprise characters coming back, and compared to the last couple movies in this franchise, this movie is a lot more straightforward. It's a lot simpler. Um, the last two movies, part 6 and 7, got a little too weird and there was a little too much going on. The first one was very simple. It was pretty much one location, not too much going on, not too weird, not too crazy, pretty straightforward. I feel like this got back to that nice, straightforward vibe, so that was pretty darn cool. Like I said, you had a lot of surprise characters coming back. Um, you had Larnell coming back, who has been a main character throughout the franchise, but he wasn't in the last couple. He comes back. It was nice to see him. There's this one girl who she plays a bunch of different characters in the franchise. It's kind of like a running joke. She comes back, and her character is kind of funny. She's with this other girl, and they're talking about the coronavirus and how they haven't done anything in real life in the past couple years, and they're like, I'm not used to talking to real people, and I'm usually talking on Zoom. I think there's supposed to be other characters because there is a movie. This is gonna sound crazy. This is not gonna sound like a real movie, but Full Moon did this movie called Corona Zombies. So I'm thinking her and the other girl were from that movie, and that's probably why they were referencing all the Corona stuff. But like I said, she's a nice familiar face. It was good to see her. It was good to see Larnell come back. It was good to see Rabbit come back. You have Evie the Evil Bong is coming back with the same actress voicing her. It was a good time. I think it was a solid finale, and I did enjoy quite a bit of the comedy. A lot of it was kind of making fun of a lot of newer stuff. There's these two waitresses, and this whole running joke is they're obsessed with their phones and they're always on their phones, and they'll just be sitting next to each other, and they only communicate through texting. So even when they're sitting right next to each other, they're always just texting each other. And then there's this other group of younger girls who come in, and they're just, whipping out their phones, taking pictures of their food to post on Instagram or whatever other social media, and they're not eating the food, and everyone's like, hey, why aren't you eating the food? That's kind of weird. And they're like, oh yeah, we don't eat food, we just take pictures of it. We only eat supplements. I thought that was pretty funny. Their characters were funny. And at one point, they get topless, and then they just stay topless for the rest of the movie, which was pretty darn funny. I mean, they were some, attractive women, so I wasn't really mad at that. I just thought it was funny because it was so prolonged. I thought it was gonna be like they, you know, take their shirts off for a second, but it was the entire movie. It was pretty darn funny. Um, there was this other character, this Karen character. She was she was so darn funny. She had the look going on. She had this little short haircut, and she was just so nasty, you know. Uh, she was just rude right off the bat, and she was like, "Let me talk to a manager," and then they get the manager, which is Rabbit, and he's also the owner, and she's like, "Well, I know the owner, okay?" And he's like, I am the owner." So I honestly I thought that her character was really cool. A lot of the characters were cool. I thought the comedy was on point, because in this movie there's not really, the story's really loose. There's not really a strong narrative. It's kind of just like, okay, Rabbit opened this restaurant, and a lot of crazy situations are playing out in the restaurant. There's really not too much happening. There's just a lot of little comedic gags going on, and it kind of jumps from one thing to another. But honestly, it kept my attention. I thought the comedy was on point. Like I said, the last couple movies were they got too weird with it, and some of the comedy was too silly. I'm a fan of some really lowbrow silly stuff, but it was even too silly for my taste. It was There was this whole thing with this Elvis puppet, and it got too crazy. There's this clown girl. I think she's from the Killjoy franchise, and then you had the ginger weed man, and he's getting with all these ladies. It was too much going on, a little too silly for me. This one, I don't know. It worked for me. I feel like the comedy, it was a nice balance. It wasn't too silly, but I feel like the comedy worked. I feel like it was a good time. And in addition to the Karen character, you had these redneck characters who they've been in quite a few of these movies. And there's this, it's two guys and a girl, and the girl is a prostitute, but she's all busted up. She's always has like sores on her, and they just put like gross, she has like gross like fake teeth, like she's just all busted up. And in one of the previous movies, you know, she's doing sexual favors for 5 cents, because I mean, she's not like some high grade prostitute. She's, you know, pretty darn nasty. But she did so many sexual favors for 5 cents, and they got like $10,000 or something, and they bought a bunch of weed. I don't remember exactly, but I thought that was funny. That was from a previous movie, but in this movie, those redneck characters come back, and there's this whole sequence where they, I think they've done this in the other movies, but they have this line where they just always say to each other like, "Oh, I'm telling you, I'm telling it. Oh, you're telling? Yep, I'm telling it. I'm telling you." And the way I'm explaining that, it probably doesn't sound that funny, but it's one of those things where the joke goes on for so long, probably almost too long, where that makes it even funnier. And something about that phrase that they have, it's just kind of random and funny, and you don't really hear that a lot, and it kind of goes with their redneck persona. So it was nice to see them back. You have these stoner ghost guys, they come back. They are in most of these movies where they're always trying to come to the shop and buy weed, and then they turn into ghosts in the last couple ones, because like I said, the last couple ones are crazy. And something else that I have not mentioned that I like about this movie is the theme song. Right off the bat, you have the theme song. I don't know what it is about this theme song, but the theme song in all these movies is so catchy. I love it. It just it really sets the tone before you're gonna watch the movie. It's, you know, it's in the opening credits, and it's just, I don't know, it sets the tone, puts you in a nice mood. Super catchy, super chill. I love it. I was really happy to hear that, because I feel like some of them did not have the theme song. I'm pretty darn sure. So it was very nice to hear the theme song in this. What else? I'm checking my notes here. I mostly talked about everything. Oh yeah, I mostly talked about everything. I don't have that much to say about this movie. It was a pretty short one, and like I said, there wasn't that much story. But another thing that was funny is the actual food at the restaurant. They didn't have a variety of dishes. They only had one dish, and it was the most random dish. It was just baked beans on a plate with like two little bread rolls, and then they would give you a glass of wine, which baked beans are not bad. A couple bread rolls, not bad. Wine, also not bad. But if that's all you have, that's a side dish, you know? That's not an entire meal, but of course they infused it with weed, so everyone was feeling it a little bit more than they should have been. So yeah, and like I said, everyone gets sucked into the Evil Bong world at the end. They say something like, "Oh, everything was all a dream," and blah blah blah, and that was kind of stupid. But I don't know. I don't expect that much out of these movies. They have a short runtime. They're low budget. They're pretty much shot at one location. So I give them more of a pass than I would with other movies. And honestly, I thought overall this was a good time. It was a good finale. Like I said before, it was nice seeing a lot of familiar faces. You had some characters that weren't in the last couple ones who came back. I thought the comedy was on point. It wasn't too weird. It was a lot more straightforward than previous entries. So I had a good time with this. It was a good conclusion to the franchise, in my opinion. And I have to. I mean, there's a couple other franchises where I've seen some of the movies, so they're in the for full moon movies. So there's quite a few full moon franchises that I want to check out now. So that's everything that I have to say. Thank you all for watching, and peace out.